Hello and welcome to the High Maintenance Hippie podcast. This is your host, Ashley from Ashley Taylor Wellness. On this podcast, we talk about all things beauty, health, wellness, and optimization. Being a high maintenance hippie represents not being boxed in, as I strongly believe that one size does not fit all. I'm a nurse turned coach, and I have learned so much about both conventional and alternative options, and I want to help you expand your options. I'm here to inspire you to learn new ways to improve your quality of life and to take your power back. I'm so excited that you're here, so let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to the High Maintenance Hippie podcast. Today is a very special episode for me because it's my last day being 35. I have learned so much. I'm an open book, and I hope some of the things that I've learned are helpful for you. And I think we really don't spend a lot of time reflecting on our life, on our habits, how we're showing up, what's working for us, what isn't working for us. We just kind of keep going. But to be able to reflect is very powerful, and I'm going to share some of that with you today. But before we get started, I wanted to mention that Citrine is having their Black Friday sale, and it's my favorite store, literally my favorite store. Whenever I have had a retreat, they hook it up for our attendees. I've done an event for girls' night out with them. Like, I love Citrine. It's more than just a store to me. It's like family. And they have the best of the best clean skincare and beauty that works. So this is how the sale will work this year. If you spend $0 to $99, you'll save 15% on the site with the code GRAT15. If you spend $100 to $199, you'll save 20% on the website with the code GRAT20. And then if you spend $200 or more, you'll save 25%. That is pretty awesome. And that's where I get the majority of my skincare products. So as far as my favorite skincare lines, Agent Nature, Tata Harper, Kypris Beauty, Indie Lee, ILIA, that's one I discovered this year, and I'm obsessed. And May Lindstrom is a newer line that I'm learning about, and people are raving about it. As far as sunscreen, I really like Suntegrity. It's tinted and it's made with zinc oxide, so that's my go-to when I'm going to use SPF. As far as makeup, I am learning how to do it. I've pretty much stuck with lashes because I didn't know how to do my makeup, and they've made it so fun. I've had it done there before. So my favorite makeup lines definitely include RMS Beauty. I would say the majority of my makeup is from them. ILIA, Fitglow Beauty, Kosas, and Jane Iredale. So many amazing choices. And it's not just for women. It's also for men, moms, babies. They have so many options, and they keep continuing to grow and add more. So definitely check it out. The link is in the show notes. And depending on how much you spend, that's going to make the difference on which code you use. So it's either going to be GRAT15, GRAT20, GRAT25, depending on which tier you're spending in. You also get points on your purchases, which is really cool. I also could not forget to mention Innersence because that's the shampoo that I use, and I absolutely love their hydrating hair mask. I use it once or twice a week. It allows my extensions to last much longer, and I do a lot of heat and curling on there, so love that mask. They have a great heat prep spray as well, and I use their hairspray. So definitely check out Citrine and stock up on things you're already using or try some new things because I really love this store. Supporting small businesses and voting with our dollar has never been more important. So this is a company that I really love, and it could not be a better fit for a fellow high maintenance hippie. All right, let's get started on what my biggest takeaways were from my 35th year. I had some highs, some really amazing moments. So one that comes to mind is going to Iceland in March. I never in a million years thought that that's somewhere I would go. And I co-hosted this retreat with Sky Gallagher. I absolutely love her. And it was not a place, I'll just be straight up, that I ever thought I would want to go. I'm not usually a fan of cold weather. It was so gorgeous. I would absolutely go back, and we did get to see the Northern Lights. So that was incredible. Not such a high moment. I really struggle with jet lag. I don't know how some people do it, but it's not where I thrive. And that was a little challenging. Overall, the experience was worth it, but I learned a lot about myself. And there were just so many amazing women on this retreat. And I continue to see the power of community. So that was definitely a high note. I started a podcast, High Maintenance Hippie Podcast. You're here listening to it. And this has been really fun. I really didn't know what I was doing. I'm like,
I'll just start and learn as I go. It will continue to grow, continue to get better, and I will continue to up-level the podcast. But first we have to start, and I've just had so much fun with it. I try not to take it too seriously. If I trip on my words, then I trip on my words. We're human, it happens. So I think that's also a big lesson, is that I'm still a recovering perfectionist, and there are things that I may not even attempt because I'm like, well, what if I don't do it correctly? Well, we have to start somewhere. So big lesson. So glad I did start it. I also hosted my first solo retreat here in Scottsdale. That was last month in October at the Brexley, and it was incredible. I loved all of the women that came, and I really did my best to over-deliver an amazing luxury experience for them. And I truly feel that they all felt that the value was worth it based on feedback that I got. Lots of practices and new things, maybe some that they've already known about, but it was such a special experience, and I look forward to doing retreats in the future. The uncoupling was obviously a low, but the lessons that I learned from it and the fact that Otto was willing to do a podcast for us to just get it all out on the table and share what we learned, we got so much feedback from people that it was really helpful. And I'm glad. That was not fun to go through at all. But if something I learned can help other people, that does make it a lot more worth it. And those lessons not only can be helpful for others, but for me, so that I am growing each year and having better quality relationships. Physically, I upgraded my meat suit in a couple ways. I did have an upper bleph done a year ago, and I also did a lip lift in March, and I'm really happy with both of those procedures. I saw Dr. Terry Maffi at Maffi Clinics here in Scottsdale, and no anesthesia for either of those, just local numbing. And I'm really, really happy with both. And my goal was to get away from more Botox, more injectables. Although I still use Botox and I do use Sculpture, which is a filler, I didn't want to keep using those if I could just do a one and done and then age from there. I was a big party girl as a teen, understatement. Tanning beds multiple times a day, didn't sleep, took lots of Adderall. I weathered myself. So a lot of the work that I've done is for prevention, but also, to make up for the damage that I did. Being a party girl is not the best look long term. So learn that lesson too. I also dissolved my lip filler, and I'm really, really glad I did that. And this is still blowing my mind. So it can migrate outside of the border of the lip, which is what happened to me, over a period of 15 plus years. So when it was dissolved, I'm like, oh my goodness, is this going to mean that I won't have a top lip? What's going to happen? And I have not put anything back in, and it looks so good. So my lips actually look fuller now because the filler was on the outside, actually more in this area. And so by contrast, by dissolving it there, the lips look bigger. So I'm really, really happy with it. And I will do an episode on the upper bleph and what that is, why people do it. It's actually very common. A lot of older people do that, and it is covered by insurance in some cases because it truly can obstruct vision. Mine was definitely for cosmetic reasons, I will be honest, but I'm also using significantly less Botox than I was before, and it just felt like I couldn't keep my eyes open without making this face. So I'm really glad that I did it. Another high is that I am almost done with FDN, Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. This is an amazing program. I'm learning so much, and it's really going to expand my tools and my options for future clients or former clients that continue to work with me, as far as being able to get them access to functional lab testing and identify healing opportunities on a deeper level. So very excited for that. And the final thing that comes to mind is that my dad reached out. And I want to respect his privacy. But what I will say is that for the longest time, I didn't know this person, and my parents were very young, but I created a story in my mind about why he wasn't in my life, and it wasn't true. And once again, I will respect his privacy, but just hearing from him gave me closure that I kind of thought I was never going to get. And it was just such a healing thing for me. And I have so much respect for my mom, for the decisions that she made. I just feel like it helped me understand why my life was my life, but I wouldn't change a thing now. It just was confusing when I was younger. And I really, really would not be the person I am today if I didn't have that experience. Probably why I'm so stubborn, probably why I'm so hyper independent, but I wouldn't even say I'm like that anymore. Definitely done a lot to work through those things. But yeah, just helped me answer a lot of questions and realize the story that I told myself, which is that I wasn't worth fighting for, isn't a true story. There were a lot of other circumstances that I just couldn't understand as a child, and I'm so grateful for that closure. All right, so some lessons and highlights from the year. One is that I'm a major people pleaser. I didn't realize that this was still showing up. I've made huge progress in this area, and only compare yourself to yourself, but there is still some work for me to do. And I thought that it would be a really cool idea to bring everyone that I love together on Thanksgiving, which happens to be my birthday this year. And then I just felt myself feeling like so many different personalities. Are they going to get along? And to my defense, maybe Thanksgiving isn't the best day, but I will bring all the people that I love together. It just felt like it wasn't the vibe. But I'm so concerned about making sure other people are comfortable, which is great. As a nurse, that's a good trait to have. But I historically would have rather betrayed myself to make others happy. And I think that we can be true to ourselves and still be respectful of others. And I've learned that adults can be disappointed. So we're allowed to say, I'm unable to attend, or this won't work for me, or I've changed my mind. And someone might feel a certain way about it, and that's okay. But we're allowed to say no. And the most important thing in my friendships is that we are clear, we are direct, and we never force the other to show up. If my friend is like, I'm having a day, I just need to stay home, no problem. I'm never going to hold that over someone's head. If there's a pattern then of flaking out or canceling or something like that, then I might just say, think about it before you say yes, but that's something that you have to figure out. Are you just overcommitting and you're a flake, or are you just showing up for things when you don't really want to? And that leads to resentment within us. So this way I know that I'm there or my friends are there because we want to be, not because we feel pressured or guilty if we don't show up. Hope that makes sense. Number 2, having an assistant. That is not something that I had this year. I tried working with one for a little bit, but last year I had one and I was crushing it. So a lot of people view having an assistant as an expense. And why am I sharing this? Because whether you're an entrepreneur or not, sometimes when we delegate tasks to other people that we are capable of doing, it does free up a lot more of our energy to focus on what we love more. And so it just helped me to be more consistent and show up. So I definitely will be finding a new assistant. And when I was asking for one this year, I just wasn't super clear about what I needed. And I have that clarity now. So, there's nothing wrong with delegating and asking for help. And instead of it being an expense, because I have 2 years to compare, I made significantly more money when I had that assistant helping me, even though I paid the assistant. We think so much about the cost and not the ROI, the return on our investment. And that's a huge shift that we need to make. We're like, that sounds expensive, but not if it's going to make you a lot more money. And that's a big shift for me, at least, from W-2 employee to entrepreneur. Number 3, my best friend has cancer. And that really was a big wake-up call. She's very physically healthy. I'll let her share her story at some point, but I don't want to speak for her. But it just showed me how precious life is. And if someone's very physically healthy and they're dealing with something like this, could there be other factors that are contributing? And I do believe that we are mind, body, spirit. We are not just the physical, and all of these things affect us. So we have to be able to address our emotions. And I think that's a huge area in health coaching, life coaching, where people don't really want to focus necessarily, but that is so important. So, being able to regulate my emotions and not run from things, have difficult conversations from a grounded place. I think I have really, really taken those skills and my ability to do so to the next level. And I'm very grateful for emotional regulation tools and techniques. And I share those with my clients as well. And just for the people in our lives, we might focus on, okay, if it's Thanksgiving and you're listening to this, oh, my uncle, he's such a jerk. Well, happy people don't go around, being jerks to other people. So maybe he's not happy. Maybe he needs love. I'm not saying to betray yourself, but sometimes you never know who you might be a light for. just by caring about someone and being the bigger person, it can shift the whole dynamic. So you don't have to try if that doesn't feel right for you, but I'm just trying to focus on what I have in common with people, see the good in people, and just pick my battles, Do we need to be having everyone thinking like us and trying to convince? Like, I have let that go, and I'm just like, you do you, I'll do me. Let's focus on what we have in common. And I'm just really grateful for the relationships in my life, because without them, what's the point? Without our relationships, that's what makes life rich, in my personal opinion. And I'm not just making this up. This is one of the 5 pillars of functional medicine health coaching. So it is sleep and restoration, exercise and movement, nutrition, stress, and relationships. It's that important. And we know that isolation is a huge negative factor that influences our mental health. 2020, if you know what I'm saying. So, please do not take your relationships for granted. That doesn't mean people won't drive us crazy. We don't have to like someone all the time, but we can let people know that we love them. And if something isn't working, once again, it's an opportunity to communicate about what we would like. And I have conversations with my friends, my partner, and we are often discussing, what would a better friendship look like? What would a better relationship look like? What do you need from me? What can I do to make our relationship better? And I don't think people always have those conversations. Number 4, letting the love in. Oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing, but I struggle to let love in. Having my birthday celebrated feels really weird. When we went to Iceland, everyone wrote handwritten notes. I still have not opened them, but just saying nice things. And I have the envelope with the notes. And one person's like, and she knows who she is if she's listening, why haven't you read the notes? And it's like, there's all this love waiting for me, and I am not accessing it. Why? Is it easier to push people away because I don't want to get hurt? I mean, there's definitely more exploring for me to do, but the big realization is that I struggle to let love in, to let people celebrate me. I have come really far in letting people help me, but being celebrated, especially publicly, I'm still working on that. So I was going to have a Thanksgiving get together with everybody that I love, but I just don't want it to be on Thanksgiving, because it felt more like a Thanksgiving get together than my birthday. So next year, I want to do something for my birthday, hold me to it. And it's just about realizing we are worthy of feeling love. And like I said, I've come so far. Only compare yourself to yourself, but I guess I've got more work to do, and that's okay. So we'll see what it looks like next year. And the other thing is that my friends just wanted me to be happy. So I was like, can we not sing or do candles? They're like, sure. And they just wanted me to have what I wanted. And I guess I wasn't used to that. And if you don't ask for what you want, if you're not direct, you're definitely not going to get it. So hopefully you have friends that you can be direct and share what your needs are, and they communicate if they can meet those needs or not, and vice versa. Are you willing to listen to other people and hear their boundaries and their needs and get on the same page? So I'm just so grateful for the types of friendships that I have today and the friendships that I've had historically. We've grown together. It's amazing. Okay, another major lesson is, if you're an entrepreneur, put aside money for your tax bill. I paid all of mine, but I got a 0 interest credit card, paid it in full, but it's so different from being a W-2 employee. So I love working for myself. I think it's a different type of challenge, but I do both. I work as a nurse now, which I'll get to in a second, and I have my own business, but quarterly, having a bookkeeper who will just let you know what is owed, that is so helpful. And I didn't have a good plan last year, and so it was very stressful, but it will be different this year. Yeah. And a lesson for better money management. I pay all my bills on time. I'm very big on that, but savings and things like that for taxes, it's not the most fun thing to save for, but it was a good lesson. Number 6, I found a nursing position I love. So if you have been following my account for a while or just my journey, I left in November of 2021 from the hospital, have not been back since. So that is 2 years. And I considered doing a contract, but I ended up meeting a nurse. It felt very serendipitous through mutual friends. And she shared with me about a position. It's basically registry nursing. So you work for an agency or a registry, and they will put you at different positions. And so I'm working outpatient, which means they don't have to stay in the hospital. And I used to work inpatient. So people are much sicker when they're in the hospital. You have to serve them hospital food, which I didn't really believe in. I think we can do a lot better. And I'm really not sorry that I think that the bar is too low. I think patients deserve better, loud and proud. But outpatient is just such a different type of experience. People are generally more healthy. They leave the same day, and I'm really, really enjoying it. I get to make my own schedule. So, a lot of people give up on nursing, but there are so many different ways that you can be a nurse, and maybe the hospital isn't it. So I'm grateful for all that I learned there, but outpatient all the way. And who's to say I wouldn't do a travel contract, but I really love what I'm doing now. And it just feels like a great use of my nursing skill set because I don't want to lose these skills. I worked so hard to be a nurse. I love being a nurse. I just wasn't comfortable with what was being asked of me in 2021. So I chose to leave, and it was such a good decision. Absolutely no regrets. And I will always choose what is right for my health. I know a lot of people didn't understand my decision, but it's my decision to make just as it is your decision to make and everyone else's. Number 7, I moved into a house 2 months ago that I loved. I love it so much that I applied for it last year. We toured it, Otto, my boyfriend and I, we toured it and everything. We didn't get the house. And not only did we get it this year, but it costs significantly less right now to live in this house, and we're renters, but it's gorgeous. It's far out of the city. I love it. I'm so happy here. It feels like a home. When I first moved to Arizona, the first house was way too big. Then we were in a house that was way too small, and this feels absolutely perfect. So I'm so grateful, and it feels like a sanctuary. The world's crazy and chaotic out there. I just want the place where I am at home to feel peaceful, and I love that I can look out and see the mountains, and I just find that to be so calming. It's just so expansive, and I'm really, really happy with that. So sometimes it's a timing issue. It was the right house, wrong time, but I'm so glad that it worked out. So the lesson about the house is don't be afraid to ask for what you want. If you hear no the first time, maybe the first time wasn't it, but you have to be persistent if you really want something. And I love the saying it's this or something better, but turns out it really was this house. Number 8, more play. I tend to get pretty serious, and when I have been my most successful, it's when I'm having the most fun. And my reels that do the best are when I'm having fun. When I'm trying to be too serious, I don't even like being too serious. I just think that's what I'm supposed to do to be successful. I'm telling you, for me, play lightens my mood. It helps my energy. And then I just feel like I'm nicer, friendlier, have better ideas, and that ripple affects every other area of my life. So play is not just some distraction. It's something that can actually make us better. And for me, it allows me to create higher quality work because of the state, the emotional state that I'm in. Number 9 is not a new lesson, but it's that the beach is my happy place. I grew up on Hilton Head, which is an island in South Carolina, and I've just always loved the beach. It's a place where I don't even want to look at my phone. So do more things that make you forget about your phone. And it's great for grounding, sunshine, movement. I feel like you get all of these things in one place, and it's free. So unfortunately, I'm in the desert. Even though it's beautiful, I do really miss the beach. And that's something that I need to do at least once a year for myself, if not more than that. But that was a big lesson. Like, this is just a non-negotiable for me. If it's accessible, if I can't go, but if it's within my control, and there usually is a way, if there's a will, there's a way, right? To make that a priority. So that was a big takeaway for me. And number 10, very simple, but clearly I am a high maintenance hippie. I love clean beauty, procedures. I do all the things. But the biggest mistake that I was making is not washing my face at night. Rookie move. You are wasting your money on injectables, skincare products, makeup. Wash your face at night. Without that, you're not going to get the most out of it. And that also reminds me of health protocols. So I am not against detox protocols or supplements or anything like that. But if you are not doing the foundational work, those 5 pillars of functional medicine coaching, you have to be sleeping. You have to be moving your body, but not too much, but also not too little. You have to find that sweet spot for you. Nutrition. right? More is not better, but not enough. So it's like fine-tuning these foundational habits for you, stress and relationships. Without those things being in place, you're not going to get the most out of a protocol. If our emotional state is jacked up and we're in fight or flight, which is a sympathetic mode, then we're not going to get the most out of these healing protocols. So sometimes we're looking for these fancy things, and I love them, but we forget about the basics. We forget about the foundation. And I think that's a really important lesson, not just with our health, but also with beauty. Wash your face every night if you're not. Okay, so I haven't done a solo episode in a while, and it's something I want to get back to. I was doing one a week, and it's been 3 months since I put out a solo episode. So I love doing Q&As, and there are a lot of other topics that I'm going to be discussing, but I'm always open to ideas. You can DM me on Instagram, or you can send me an email, ashley@ashleytaylorwellness.com. But I am just so grateful for all of you, and to start my 36th year, and I'm excited for more lessons, more growth, more fun, more play. And I hope that you all have an amazing day, whether you're celebrating with family, maybe you're by yourself, whatever it is. If you think of things that you're grateful for, you will find more of them. And I'm someone who has historically focused on the negative, and then I see more of the things that are negative. So it doesn't mean to just be delusional and not look at reality, but what you focus on grows. So today is a day, if you're listening on Thanksgiving, to be grateful. Tell the people that you love how you feel. Focus on what you have in common, because we're not all going to agree on everything. That would be so boring. This isn't a cult. Don't want that. But try to give that love, and then ask yourself, just like I'm having to ask myself, are you open to receiving love? And maybe not as much as I thought. So that's something I'll be working on this year. I hope you all enjoyed. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the High Maintenance Hippie podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast, rate it, and leave a review, ideally a 5-star review if you loved it. All of this is free of charge and really helps me to be able to run the podcast. If you take a screenshot and tag me, I'll repost you and shout you out on Instagram. So tag Ashley Taylor Wellness and High Maintenance Hippie podcast. If you have any feedback or guests that you'd like to have, I would love to hear from you so that I'm not just talking at you. I really want to deliver things that are valuable. So send me an email with any feedback, suggestions, or ideas for guests at ashley@ashleytaylorwellness.com. And I will leave you with a disclaimer. Please know that this is not medical advice or replacement for seeking medical care. Everything discussed on this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only. Always consult with your medical provider before making any changes. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.